Want an award-winning poet to write a personalized poem for your special occasion? Need a manuscript consultation? Are you looking for a literary translator from the Russian? If you go to the website of Katherine E. Young, you'll get the delightful news that the very woman who served as the inaugural poet laureate of Arlington, Virginia, offers all these services. She also, according to connoisseurs of the form, writes poetry that, quote, wraps with equal grace around bears and Bluebeard, around calculus and salt. Books that are, quote, an emotional rescue operation, a survival guide, and a call to arms. Katherine has published two extraordinary collections, Day of the Border Guards and, new this spring and launching tonight, Woman Drinking Absinthe. Her work has appeared in Prairie Schooner, the Iowa Review, Subtropics, and many other places. She is the award-winning translator of books by Anna Sarubinets, Akram Ailisi, and Ina Kabish, and she has translated numerous other Russophone poets from Lermontov to Pasternak. She edited Written in Arlington, which is an anthology showcasing 87 poets from her hometown, ranging from nationally known writers to high school students to tourists passing through. She joins us tonight from Arlington, Virginia. Welcome, Katherine.
Thank you so much, Marian. Thank you to Zach and the Writers Center. Special thank you to publishers Rose Solari and James J. Patterson and everybody at Allen Squire Publishing. The last book launch that I did for the first book was at AWP, which is a giant writers convention for those of you who don't know. And it was in front of the table and there were 3 other writers and there were maybe 4 people there. So this is pretty amazing tonight and I'm really delighted to be here. I also want to say a special thanks to Liz Hazen for your beautiful and brave poems. And thank you everybody for coming tonight. I'm so pleased to be launching this book. For any of you who know the last book, Day of the Border Guards, you know that I tend to burrow into some dark places, and that particular book burrowed into Russian history and literature. So the ground was pretty dark and deep to begin with. This book, Woman Drinking Absinthe, is also interested in the sort of terrible, unforgivable, and utterly human things that people do to one another, things that people have been depicting in art since at least the Greeks. So while I was exploring all those terrible, awful, unforgivable, and really human things, I could call on references and examples from everywhere from Bible verses to the opera Madame Butterfly and beyond. And I'm going to start tonight with a fairy tale. And yes, it has a bear in it. It's in 6 short parts and it's called The Bear. 1. The bear marauds inside my garden, plants his tracks among the roses. His scent lingers in the hollies, the yews. I gather broken branches in my arms, pocking hands and face with prickling leaves. Inside the house, my cats sniff anxiously, note the bitter tang of bear on my skin. They press their noses to the window, seeking solace in the glass, clear-eyed frame that holds us back, bladed pain that keeps us safe. 2. The bear says, I'm not dangerous. Let me make a den for you. I'll decorate the walls with shells, spread soft moss across your bed. Songs of falling water will soothe the air. Sometimes, perhaps, I'll kiss your full, pleading lips, though they're not the type to which I'm accustomed. 3. I tell the bear, my prince will come claim me. Clear, uninflected. The bear just laughs. Does his skin smell of musk, his flesh taste of honey? Does his fur warm you in winter? Does he know to smooth your cheek with all his claws drawn in? 4. When he holds me in his arms, I hear roaring in my ear. 5. The bear says, look closely. There's a ring set in my nose. And though I've stroked his snout 1,000 times, I've never before now felt iron beneath my fingers. Says the bear, once I begged for my living, recited rhymes, my paw outstretched. I screwed the ring in myself, thought I'd live better with a chain, with 4 walls to steady me. 6. The bear shambles through crowds, snout turning side to side, his eyes always seeking. I don't know what he's seeking. He prefers I fall 2 steps back. That way no one shouts, "Look, a woman's chained to that bear." Although the chain's invisible. Although at night, when he leads me out, no one sees he's a bear. Next poem is a poem in conversation with the great Russian poet Marina Tsvetaeva, who was famous not just for her poetry, but also for her willingness to pretty much burn everything to the ground for love. Today, I'm writing love songs. Today, I'm writing love songs, Marina, as if you yourself had written none, as if no other woman ever felt or smelled or tasted love's ripe flesh, never stripped love's husk to find succor within, until I, arriving with my hand outstretched, plucked at it from idle curiosity. I promise, Marina, I'll savor this love whole, run my lips along its rim, swallow juices, rind, pips, drink in each drop as if it's the last. Passion slips from its skin, dissolves sweet, hot, sour, bitter, salty on my tongue, recalling foods fashioned by the ancients who stirred seeds of love in their cooking pots. They say I look young again, Marina, my skin's furrows softened by gentle rain. But you and I, we descend from monsoon. Our sort of love engorges the river, corduroys the fields, drowns the seedlings asleep in cradling earth. Heat, water, ooze, fruit rotting in mud. No haven safe from us. Many of the poems in this book explore themes of, this is a new thing for me, mathematics and the physical sciences, and I'm really excited about working with them. And this one's called Calculus. And they're picking at sushi and talking like people who don't know each other well, but mean to, and aren't so sure of the rules anymore. Because the old rules covered things like a girl not talking dirty and backseat kissing and all the places she shouldn't let him put his hands. But this new talk needs new rules. Now he's quoting his therapist, and she's saying he should leave his wife. Now she's saying staying's worse. And both of them are draining glasses, mounding napkins, flicking chopsticks, so as not to accidentally glimpse the slits that can ghost across wrists. Because here, in this talk, the husbands are shouting, they're slapping not so secret lovers, while at home the wives are screaming, and the children have been stayed together for, and their savage, selfish eyes let no one forget it, while their fathers are screaming as their mothers take lovers whom they're kissing in cars, hands bruising in motion as breath stutters, sobs, approaches infinity. Leaving home, my husband's house. I lose myself, baffled by streets bearing names I no longer know, their curves and contours couched in shadow, each Eden, El Dorado, Elysium, a sign signaling simply exit. Slipping beneath the city's skin, I discover bluegrass, blues, jazz bars, burr of scotch, whiskey with soda. I meet a man, many men. Feel fingers cleanse my face, smell the way flesh melts into midnight in temporary rooms. Recently, I dreamed of home, my husband's back partitioning the bed, unbreached, unbreachable. Here, when it rains, the skylight weeps, the sink gnaws its own enamel. Near the window, an amaryllis arrays itself anxiously. So much need, my husband once said in disbelief. So much needless grief. And now I think I will read the title poem, Woman Drinking Absinthe. If you want to, you can imagine you're in Paris in the 1890s. The epigraph to this poem is from W.B. Yeats. A living man is blind and drinks his drop. Woman drinking absinthe. Tonight, you're speaking of your wife, the bride you brought across the sea. She tends your sons, pickles fish and ginger on weekends, teaches you the custom of her father, who kept a woman in the village. The waitress knows us as a pair. We share a glass, finish one another's sentences. But what's my role in this miserable tableau? Girlfriend, whore, pursing my lips in the brass cladding of the bar. I've pitched into your blind man's ditch. Toulouse-Lautrec might have cartooned the blousy hair, the cloudy gaze of the woman at this table, coaxing one last drop from La Fée Verte, one last delusion from the muse. You shrug, obligingly peel back flaps, cloth, skin, connective tissue, rib. So framed, your heart glistens like the frog's, ghastly hallucination. I gaze at its pulsing nacreous sac, so like my own. Tell myself this must be love. Already I've succumbed to viridescent dreams, numbed myself to fingers fumbling at bra straps, clasps, the cup and suction of your mouth, the wheels it leaves, louche of bitter wormwood, of aniseed. Soul food. That first time when you hit me, I marveled at the crack your hand made as it struck flat against my face. I should have known right then we were headed straight for this soul food joint where I'm picking at turnip greens, sweet potato pie, as you plead with me to take my inconvenient heart and just go away. You say it's all my fault. I ask too much, love too deep. Don't make me do it again, you say. I know you mean it. Like you mean this next thing. When we've split the last of the cornbread, made our exit past the catfish gazing lugubrious in his tank, when we're standing in the parking lot, your arms around me, your hand, same hand, traces the bone of my cheek, softly, longingly, as if I'd never been there, as if you'd never leave. After great pain, a formal feeling comes, as Dickinson says. This book doesn't just dwell in madness and grief. It also explores atonement and healing. And this next poem is a found poem. It's the only found poem in the book. And it's a recipe that first appeared in the Philosophical Transactions of the Royal Society, which was published in London about 1690. So this is a recipe to cure mad dogs or men or beasts bitten by mad dogs. Agrimony roots, primrose roots, dragon roots, single peony roots, the leaves of box of each handful, the star of the earth, 2 handfuls, the black of crab's claws prepared, Venice treacle of each 1 ounce, All these to be beaten and bruised together and boiled in a gallon of milk till the half be boiled away, then put into a bottle, unstrained, and given 3 or 4 spoonfuls at a time to the dog or beast or man 3 mornings together before new and full moon. And the last poem that I'm going to read tonight is about one of my favorite things. It's a little bit lighter. It's about figs. The fig flowers in a really cool and unusual way. It flowers on the inside of the fruit. And there's a particular insect, the fig wasp, that goes inside the figs to carry the pollen from flower to flower. This is kind of a Wikipedia poem. For example, the banyan tree under which the Buddha meditated is a fig tree. The poem is in 5 short parts, and it begins with a saying from the Bengali. The word for fig in Bengali is dumor. And here's the saying: "You've become invisible like the dumor or fig flower." Fig. 1. I've become the invisible flower, inflorescence of fig in bloom embroidering my inner walls. Fleshy peduncles descend from my rib cage. Wasps colonize my pelvis, seeking the osteol's warm-mouthed murmur, sex till death. The male fig wasp develops, mates, and dies inside the fruit of his birth. How many men will die in me? 2. How many men will eat my fruit, meditate for years beneath my banyan bones? A parable of the fig tree. When the branch is tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. Rejoice in me, each under your own vine and fig tree, fruit of paradise ripening beneath the leaves that multiply, hiding our sins. 3. When I grew into my beauty, I became a canophoros and wore a necklace of dried figs. A woman learns to initiate herself, leads processions to the altar atop the Acropolis, bears the kanaun readied for sacrifice. Old men tell her, dwell within the temple of our beliefs, not the wilderness that lies beyond. 4. What if wilderness lies within? I sacrificed to Dionysus, infected body and mind by him who's also God of figs. I slew the mountain lion, my son. You, cursing the fig that yields no fruit, Jesus said, let no fruit grow on thee henceforward forever. His fig was just a metaphor. Every mother mourns with me. 5. I've become the dumor flower, favorite of monkeys, bats, refuge of the wingless male. When the fig wasp dies, the fruit absorbs his body. His winged mate carries pollen, fig to fig. Women's work. Each one ripe contains 1,500 seeds. Whoso keepeth the fig tree shall eat the fruit thereof. Thank you again, everybody, for coming out tonight. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Rose and Jimmy. Thank you, the Writers Center. Thank you, Marion. It's been terrific to put this book out in the world, and thank you for helping me launch it.